Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of No Huddle with Zach Arndt. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Missouri Tigers, giving a preview for this upcoming 2022 college football season. Led by head coach Eli Drinkwitz, along with offensive coordinator Eli Drinkwitz and defensive coordinator Blake Baker. Yes, Eli Drinkwitz will be calling the plays for the Missouri Tigers this year. Some key players: Isaiah McGuire, defensive end, big defensive lineman, 6'4", 275. He had 10 of his 14 tackles for loss last year in just his final 8 games when he was the starter. They also have Martez Manuel, who had 77 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, and tied for second on the team in sacks with 4.5. They have Javon Foster, the left tackle. Very good in pass protection, just allowed 1 sack last year. Some key losses, though: they lost Tyler Beatty, Akaleb Evans, and Blaze Aldridge. Tyler Beatty, their starting running back, ran for 1,600 yards in 12 games last year and had 54 passes, which led the team. Corner Akaleb Evans, he was injured last year, but he was a steady starter prior to that. He had 1 interception and broke up 6 passes last year. Aldridge, the linebacker, he had 15 tackles for loss and 4.5 sacks. In 2022, the recruiting class from Missouri, they went out and signed 5-star Luther Burden, number 1 receiver in the class, along with top 100 corner Sam Horn out of Sewanee, Georgia. Pairing with them, they also have a pair of defensive players in Marquise Graciel and DJ Wesolak, and Tavares Jones, the running back out of El Paso, Texas. He was also a 4-star. So Missouri doing work on the recruiting trail. They went into Illinois, got the number 1 receiver in the class, paired him with a top 100 quarterback in Sam Horn. Very good for Missouri. Looking at the depth chart, they do return starting wide receiver Tolsky Dove. I have Luther Burden as a day 1 starter in the slot, and then Dominic Lovett, another wideout starter outside. O-line, they returned 4 starters, a very experienced group, along with the starting freshman at center, I believe, is going to be Connor Tolleson. But the 4 seniors are Javon Foster, Connor Wood, Xavier Delgado, and then at right tackle you have Hiron White. Tight end, they have Tyler Stevens and Ryan Hortzkamp. Quarterback, Brady Cook. Who knows, by the end of the year, Sam Horn might be taking over. Say the season kind of goes off the rails, I wouldn't be surprised if they put a true freshman in there just to light a fire under the team. Nathaniel Pete and Elijah Young make up the running back room. Defense, they returned 2 starting D linemen from a year ago, Isaiah McGuire and Trajan Jeffcoat. They have 2 more seniors that project to start, and Darius Robinson and Jaden Jernigan on the defensive line. Middle linebacker Tyrone Hopper is going to be stepping in as a starter for his first season. Missouri has a very experienced secondary. They returned Ennis Rakestraw, Chris Abrams, Martez Manuel, and Jalen Carleys. All 4 started last season. At nickel, they're going to have to replace with either Dalen Carnell, Stacy Brown, Jelani Williams, or Joseph Charleston. They have a plethora of options there. Last season, Brady Cook threw for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. Connor Bazelak was the starter for Missouri last season. Elijah Young, the backup to Tyler Beatty, he ran for 160 yards and 1 touchdown. Looking at some team stats, Missouri didn't rank in the top 50 in either field position, offensive efficiency, explosive plays, or finishing drives. All 4 of those have to be a point of emphasis this year if they're going to be successful. Last year they ranked 67th in explosive plays on offense and then 112th on defense. Missouri also really struggled to stop teams on defense last year. Teams would get in the red zone and it was almost guaranteed points. They ranked 125th in finishing drives on defense. That also includes third downs, like say it was like 3rd and 5. 5 times more than they win it, they would allow a first down. That is not good. That is not a formula to have success in the SEC. They also ranked 55th in turnover margin. They did average 30 points per game last year, which was good for 59th in the country. Averaged 180 rushing yards per game and 233 passing yards per game. Scoring defense, they ranked 113th nationally. They gave up 34 points per game. They also gave over 220 yards per game on the ground and over 200 in passing. 200 in passing is very solid. That finished 29th in the country. It's just they gave up 435 yards a game, which was 105th in the nation. Those stats and numbers were good for a 6-7 record in 2021. with a 3-5 record in the SEC. Looking ahead to 2022, they open up against Louisiana Tech, which I think they'll win that game. They travel to Kansas State to take on Deuce Vaughn and company. I think that'll be a loss, but then they'll obviously back up that game with a win against Abilene Christian at home. They play Auburn, Georgia, Florida in a 3-game stretch. I have them losing all 3 of those games. I think they'll all be competitive, minus the Georgia game. Vanderbilt's next. I think that's a win. At South Carolina and Kentucky, that's a loss. Both of those are a loss. They travel to Knoxville to take on Tennessee. I think that's a loss. They have an out-of-conference game against New Mexico State. I think that's a W. They finish off the year against a very tough Arkansas team, and by the end of the season, I see Arkansas being very strong, so I have Missouri taking the loss in that game as well. To finish up the video, I just want to go back to Missouri signing Luther Burden in 2022, the 5-star receiver. When you turn on a Missouri game this year, maybe they're playing Alabama or Georgia, and you see Luther Burden out there, and you're going to say, who's that number 3 from Missouri? He's making all these plays. He's got over 100 yards. You're going to look him up, and you're going to say, Missouri signed a 5-star? They got the number 1 wide receiver in the class? Yes, they did, and that's a player to keep an eye on when watching Missouri this season. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I hope you all have a great day. I'll catch you in the next one.